Welcome back to Worlds 2022. We just got to look at Times Square and Madison Square Garden. It said square twice. I goofed it up. But we're here in beautiful NYC thanks to the OnePlus Cam giving us a look at Madison Square Garden and Times Square, where right now, Rogue have their backs against the wall, gentlemen. It's a 2-0 lead for JDG, and Rogue are back on blue, and they're still banning Graves.
Yeah, Graves is back on the bench where he should stay.
They're gonna run it back, aren't they?
Yes, I believe so.
You don't sound happy, Betty.
Please don't pick Lucian Nami, man.
You don't
Not
sound
that,
happy.
it's just they haven't won lane once, man. The way they win, if they're going to, is they need a winning 2v2 matchup bot lane. And I want to see Trymbi when, they're
Nice.
gonna ban away.
There we go.
Wait, this is basically just them saying, aha, what are you gonna do now? We'll just pick Lucian Nami again.
So the thing is, if they don't pick it early here, JDG can use it. Like,
Yes. Yes, they can, Kobe.
Open missing Lucian Nami has been fearsome. So now with the Aphelios already out, so you can't do Lulu Aphelios back into them. They re-pick up the Maokai here, which should be noted is one of the most flexible picks at the entire tournament. So this could go back into Odoamne's hands. They could obviously still flex it. And this is exactly what we're saying, because if you don't, then guess what? Hope and Missing are just going to pick up the Lucian Nami themselves.
Okay, but they don't take the Nami because they don't need to go for it yet. They'll lock the Sylas instead, and it's Kalista Soraka for Rogue.
And the Soraka for Trymbi was one of the most lauded picks of the entire LEC, playoffs, right? So,
Do you want a fun fact about this bot lane?
What do you got?
The first time they ever played this bot lane was in the finals. They didn't even scrim it, they just picked it. They were like, Soraka makes sense, but Soraka Kalista, and they're like, And that's literally the first time that they ever played it.
what a badass move. That's Chad right there.
Chad,
I mean, they're saying they're just doing the run
Practice? Nah,
back.
I don't need that.
They're doing the run back now, like from what they found success with in the finals. I think it's risky, but like, what options do you have left? You're 2-0 down. You got to take risks at this point.
Exactly. Give me something different. At least we're not going to watch another Aphelios Lulu into it and a smashing there. But okay, so as expected, those bottom lanes fleshed out. Now onto the solo lanes here, though. They're trying to, again, for Rogue side, whittle down on those 3-6-9 threats into the Maokai. The tank killers. Fiora is paramount. That's a big one.
Ooh.
The Gwen was also a big issue, too. So I'm curious what Rogue think is the next biggest threat that 3-6-9 had, and if it's going to be the Gwen, because that would kind of funnel them into the double AP solo lanes.
The Jarvan is up this time around, Kobe. We've seen it banned in game 1 and game 2. I wonder if Rogue will look to prioritize it, or if they will in fact move this Maokai into the jungle. My expectations are that we're looking at a Jarvan Orianna combo here for Rogue.
Ooh, baby, that could be spicy, but let's see what JDG is going to pick first. They banned away Larssen's Azir, so that's not an option here. Kanavi on the Viego last game, part of that level 3 super clean gank in the bottom lane. Got cut out a couple of times there. Nearly punished, but their lead was enough to keep him going, and it's locked in again.
And then there's a couple directions to go, but they instantly lock it already. The LeBlanc here slammed into the Sylas. LeBlanc LeeSin, this is all about trying to punish Sylas early. You do not want to let Sylas scale. You go LeBlanc in, chain him, LeeSin gank, insta-kill, try and snowball. This look from Rogue, I actually like this. They're saying, we're going to go all early game, see if we can rush this down.
Yeah, you say all early game, make sure you put all of it in all capital letters, because I don't see what the hell scales here if that early game doesn't go well for Rogue.
If we were talking about Youngest Caps, or we were talking about Humanoid Razorg, this would be a mid-jungle that I am used to.
Okay.
Larssen and Malrang,
Not so much.
This is not a duo that we ever really saw from them. Like, Malrang just doesn't go mid. Like, he'll cover mid, he might throw a gank there here and then, but the mid-jungle synergy has never been the talking point of this Rogue roster. But now that they find themselves with their potentially last game of the year, they're saying, you know what, Larssen, if you feel you're playing really well, if you have confidence in your ability against Yagao, we're putting your faith in you, and it's the mid-jungle synergy all the way.
Yeah, a wise man just told me a story about Rogue first timing stuff in Best of Series on stage. So
That was
might
3
as well,
minutes ago.
Might as well, first time, get this jungle mid synergy going, because LeeSin LeBlanc is one of the best pairings, one of the highest kill threat pairings that you can have in League.
And I mean, what is there really much more to say about JDG's comp? We've pretty much seen a very similar style from them every single game. What you're seeing on your screen now is, yes, while there are different picks, it's very much what we're used to from JDG. And I expect the same level of performance. Where Kanavi will invest looks to me like the bot side of the map. We need to keep our eyes on that level 3. We need to keep our eyes on that level 5, because those stacked waves is where Kanavi likes to attack.
And one of the big things I'm looking at here is the engage power of JDG. They have the Ornn for 369. They will have the stolen Maokai ultimate for Yagao. The way that these can be sequenced and layered can create a lot of problems, but I want to see creativity from Rogue. I want to see playmaking from Rogue. I want to see aggro coming out of Rogue, because if we don't get it, they're going home.
And Comp has got to be able to carry. This Rogue team has got to focus to the bottom lane to find success there. They need this Kalista to be able to carry, to stack the dragons, to actually have a win condition with this setup.
You can hear the fans
Rally
trying to
caps
showcase
on.
their support. Remember that all the pressure falls on Rogue. Many European organizations have made it to the semifinals of the World Championship. The first seed of Europe has been a strong representative throughout past years, and now all that responsibility falls onto the shoulders of Rogue.
And as we're waiting for minions to collide, remember that Prime Gaming has given away 150,000, that's right, 4 zeros, RP to several lucky fans every single day of Worlds. Head over to primegamingworlds22.com to enter and make sure to put in today's secret code to get some bonus entries. But now we're ready to go. We got junglers both starting on their top half buffs, so they should both be pathing towards the bottom part of the map.
Kobe, can you make the minimap larger for me, please? Because I have to highlight
got
this
you.
early
Boom.
ward. Look at this ward dropped on the Wolf Camp and the red buff this time. They've caught on to what Malrang was doing, and they're like, let's see if we can get information on where he starts this time. And again, he usurps it. He says, no, you will never know which camp I am starting at.
This is the funniest game of Battleship I've ever seen. And they miss again. Malrang is too good at Battleship. Starts over here, blue buff prompt. Eventually, though, he's gonna have to go to 1 with vision on it.
Is he going to get spotted?
Dun,
Here we
dun,
go.
dun, dun. Direct hit!
All right, they found him. Malrang has been spotted on the Wolf Camp, so JDG at least know what's going on.
B3.
Is Kanavi already in the bottom half of the map because he didn't clear his Krugs, only did a 2 camp clear in the top side, so he is a bit ahead of Malrang in that respect. As you can see, Larssen just jumping underneath the turret and immediately snapping back, having to play this matchup aggressive, having to get this set up so that he can work together with Malrang to build these leads. But you're seeing Kanavi walk over a ward here. He's looking for a potential play. He flashes into the tri-brush, but he's spotted. He's found. It's no summoner spell, but it doesn't matter, or does it? Kanavi in trouble. Malrang with a sonic wave, but the resonating strike don't hit right. And Kanavi, he lives.
Oh my goodness, that vision play from Rogue was so good though. The ward over here sees him come in, they almost can punish. They can't quite finish him off, and Malrang wants more. He's searching for him.
The final auto attack from Comp, it either went on to Hope or it went on to Missing a Cock. I didn't quite see who it was, but you could see it flying, and it just wasn't going to Kanavi. They were so close to securing first blood, but look at how much control Rogue have over the bot side of the map. This is the first time in this series that the Rogue bot lane 2v2 is getting that early push and winning out.
And I love the evolution here of the preemptive work done by both teams. You know, trying to find Malrang there on the Wolf Camp. Meanwhile, Kanavi warded out. He has no flash.
Okay, Kanavi, you're gonna have to play careful, buddy. I don't think that's your scuttle crab. And Malrang will be able to pick that one up.
This is the biggest difference in any of the games so far.
Hold on now. Comp's at 100 HP, but Comp got first blood 2v2. Trymbi lands a slow, and Hobo has none. A double kill to the Rogue AD carry.
Comp had to win, and they do it for Rogue. Betty, with their backs against the walls, a must-win game for Rogue. It is a double kill for Comp early.
This is the Comp I am used to. This is the man that would win his lane domestically. They know they have the heal. He cleanses the ignite. He sidestep the damage. Hope flashes back in. And then they know that with the support from Soraka and the consistent healing, the slow is applied. Comp lands the Q. Double kill for the bot lane of Rogue.
The Trymbi Soraka strikes again. healing him up, keeping Comp afloat, hitting the slow to keep him in range, and both of the kills going into the hands of the Kalista. This is going to be a big problem for JDG. So again, the game plan, refocusing on Rogue's plan to win, their win conditions, stacking these dragons off this bottom lane focus here with the Kalista. You have the Rend plus Smite combination to actually implement this control.
Well, Rogue now need to do the tried and true mid into bot. For anyone that is very familiar with any LeBlanc LeeSin lanes, typically what you do is you oppress the mid, you throw out ganks, you get their flash, you do everything in your power to put as much pressure as possible, and then you transition that pressure from mid into the bot lane, especially with a winning situation like this, with JDG having no summoners bot. And look at the CS lead that Larssen has been able to build in mid lane. We talked about how he was feeling himself in the matchup against Yagao, and already in this matchup, he is putting the pressure on.
Yeah, the LeBlanc against Sylas early on, very abusive in the range. Also, though, every time we've seen this Ornn matchup into Maokai, the Brittle just so good here, abusing the Maokai early on, getting a CS lead here as well. 369 once again with another good pick here into Odo. But that mid lane, if they could get the flash off of Yagao and open up the LeBlanc to roam bottom like you're saying, that would really further along their dragon efforts, and Malrang's already here.
Malrang and Kanavi will find each other here in the brush. Malrang with an instant snap trade there. Meanwhile, back in top, it's 369 getting feisty on him, forcing the flash out of the Maokai.
Yeah, good job there from Odo, flashing away. You have to flash the last bit of the W of the fire coming out, or else you get the Brittle on you again, and it's the big combo.
Larssen and Malrang, here they are. It's LeBlanc, it's LeeSin, it's the rotation bottom, but they know that JDG is going to be expecting this. Instead, they're going to turn attention right back over to Yagao. They will not be able to lock him down or find the kill.
That was so close, though. The chain going wide from Larssen there. Still, they get the flash off of Yagao. It should be a start on the Dragon.
Dragon itself is leashed the Sonic Wave to pull it out of the pit. They do have the control ward in the back part of that. They've got Scuttlecrab vision. They've still got that control ward protecting up towards mid lane as well. And with the control of bot lane afforded to them by Comp and Trymbi, this will be an easy first Drake take for Rogue.
I'm just... as someone that's been casting Rogue for the last year, it's, oh my god, Larssen, he could kill him here. Deciding not to overcommit, doesn't have any more cooldowns left, of course not running the Ignite. I just always assume LeBlanc's run Ignite, but now we see Kanavi looking to attack. He knows that Odoamne has no flash. Odo has the ultimate though. He's just gonna sacrifice this farm as they trade in mid.
Okay, Yagao's trying to get a little spicy here. He snaps back to where he started with the stolen distortion, so Malrang's not able to find a punish. Odoamne goes right back underneath the tier 1 turret here in the top side. It is already 2 plates taken at 7 minutes by this Ornn. Malrang's gonna find Kanavi here on his own blue buff, and now we're gonna get into a jungler versus jungler scrap. Kanavi, 400 HP. They want to fight over this buff. It is secured by the Viego, who now has his ultimate. He will still walk away. They know that Larssen is still hanging around nearby, but Kanavi can turn attention back up to the top lane if he wants. Maokai's still very low mana, but has healed up.
Yeah, simple little smite timing difference there, allowing Kanavi to get the level 6 off blue.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised Malrang didn't commit harder onto the fight with Kanavi. There must be something here that he saw that I didn't. You see more trading down towards the bot side. Hope used the E.
Hope's in some trouble. He gets out, but it costs his flash. Comp using his to try to make the move too.
There's a window here where they can actually look to dive. Kanavi being on the top side of the map, they know exactly where he is. Once again, though, Rogue sacrificing this early Herald because they want to try and keep the pressure up here in the bot lane 2 versus 2.
Okay, Hope's
once again
silenced. I love the Soraka silence, man. It's one of those things that's so difficult to deal with if you're not used to playing against it. It's a rare mechanic in the game as Yagao steps right into the brush. It's an alley-oop, but where's the rest of the damage? Yagao stays alive. He keeps fighting. 1 versus 2. The JDG mid laner is just an absolute titan here in this fight. 369 will solo kill Odoamne, and Yagao will walk away from the Rogue ambush in mid.
And the JDG solo laner standing tall here. 369 lays down the hammer.
What the hell happened there? Like, the top lane thing, we saw 369 just bullying Odoamne all lane. He's just getting the better of the matchup, but that should have been a kill onto Yagao. The fact that it wasn't, My mouth is agape right now. I have no idea. So we're going to watch back on this little skirmish up towards the top side. I hope we also get to see what happened in mid as well. Of course, Odoamne not having the flash available, and JDG just, or 369 rather, playing very well. Yeah. Does have the flash available, applies the slow, gets the last auto in with the grasp proc, and that's enough to get that kill. But Larssen, like, I don't know how he did not get that kill. That seemed like a surefire kill onto Yagao, and the fact that he walks away with that, Rogue should not have let that happen.
We've got 2 mythic items in the game, and they are owned by the 2 men topping that gold chart that's on your screen right now. The Immortal Shield Bow for Comp, the Frostfire Gauntlet for 369. Ornn is just whooping on Maokai here in the top lane. Odoamne struggling to deal with 369 in this matchup here, and with the mythic difference, it's only gonna get worse. Kanavi's making his way up here now too. There's no Ornn ulti, it's not recharged yet. Odo does have his own ult potentially ready to save him here. Flashes out to avoid the death, but still loses a big chunk of HP.
JDG heavily investing in the top side of the map. They know that there's very little that they can get back from the bot side. If they try and force something, there's a good chance that Comp and Trymbi can just get even more. So instead, they're trying to open up this top tower, which they'll do. Funnel more gold into 369, but also into Kanavi, another carry threat. Malrang now hovering around. We need to see Larssen roaming from mids to top if they want to try and win this.
Sonic Wave over the wall. Malrang's ready to join. Odoamne gets the heal from the wish of Trymbi. JDG will not be able to get the Herald into the second turret for another charge. 369 only just now about to get that cooldown back on the call of the Forge God. So now we turn our attention to bottom lane again. The culling fired out by Hope. Not gonna find a ton there, but at least whittles the health bars down a little bit of Comp.
It's so funny. I usually love these games where there is top side carry versus bottom side carry. It's just funny that in this case, it is 369 on the Ornn, the tank, assassin, range DPS, mage, cleric champion that is doing the carrying.
Oh, the root. It's still a hit, but they don't have the follow-up to guarantee the kill there onto Yagao. Meanwhile, back in bottom, Trymbi still working with a little bit of an injured health bar. Comp continuing to chase these guys forward. There's the Nami ult, there's the bubble, but there goes Hope, and it's Comp getting another one. 369 makes his way into the bottom lane now as Trymbi looks to protect the carry. 369 goes in again. Bubble locks him down, but Comp stays alive long enough only to be killed by Kanavi. Malrang and Trymbi trying to get away. They will manage to retreat as kills are traded 1 for 1.
It does not matter what 369 plays at this year's World Championship. He will find a way to carry on anything. Game 1, it was Gragas. Game 2, it was Gwen. And Game 3, his Ornn is running amok on the red.
What a monster, and they're not done yet. Turning their eyes towards the objective here. That's 2v3 as the LeBlanc has mid push and Larssen's on the way.
The ultimate from the Maokai, just barely not enough reach there to stun Kanavi at the end. 369 coming in. We're going to have ourselves a smite fight. Trymbi's dead first, and Kanavi's going to get the kill. The Drake is claimed by Rogue, and now Odoamne has to try to get away from 369. Kanavi goes over the wall there with the Heartbreaker, but the damage doesn't connect onto the Rogue top laner. Maokai makes his way back underneath the turret, but will it be enough with 369's low health bar? Yes, it will.
Nice little bit of thievery there for Rogue to be able to get the dragon for themselves, and the teleport in, though, might be a teleport into death. Larssen's got to get out of there.
Yeah, Larssen is immediately going to decide against that one as JDG have plenty of manpower down here in the bottom lane. This is going to give Hope a chance to catch up a little bit in the gold. You can see he's down 1,400 compared to his counterpart. Now, with some of the JDG players back, Larssen sees the opportunity to step forward, clear out the wave. Malrang and Trymbi, they're going to run right past the control ward there. Larssen's in a lot of trouble. Larssen gets away. The wish heals him back up a little. Malrang's ready to go. Alley-oop! Larssen gets the kill.
Larssen will finally get his first kill of the game. And Hope overextending a little bit down on the bot side of the map. He didn't have the support from the jungle that he typically has. A few mistakes coming out from the AD carry overall, but JDG still lead in terms of gold. Comp has now made his way mid.
Comp is looking for Yagao, who has the stolen Maokai ultimate. He wants to try to get away. The damage pours in, but they don't have enough just yet, but Comp goes forward. However, a TP's ready to show up. They have the silence when he appears. 369's not going to find a whole lot out of this, and Rogue playing around Comp are fighting back in game 3.
This is what they need to do. Comp really is the strongest part of Rogue's composition, and as Larssen secures another tower, we can see that Rogue finally gaining some control on the map, but they're not really converting it into much outside of Dragons. Of course, this is still a very clear win condition, but they're yet to secure a Herald so far in this series, and JDG will continue to deny them this objective.
I'd have to say this is for sure the most exciting game of this series by far, with Comp finally getting this advantage over Hope. This 4 kills now onto Kalista. All eyes look at the clock. 2 minutes, 40-something seconds left on the next dragon. This is a very quick pace for your Dragon Soul. Exactly what you have to do with this setup from Rogue.
Exactly. My eyes are not only on that dragon clock, but the clock in general. 15 minutes in, the gold is dead even despite the kills that we're getting onto Comp. So I need to see Rogue not slow down. They gotta keep this up. They gotta keep finding windows, and they gotta keep pushing the game forward.
And you wanna know where that gold difference lies? It's the top jungle once again. We saw it from them in game 1. Kanavi and 369, this power duo. Even when they were on the Gragas and the Graves in game 1, they're on champions that can look to carry in a very similar way here in this game. And 369, the best thing from JDG's perspective is Kalista is arguably not the best tank killer. She doesn't really build that many armor penetration items. She can build a lot of Ren stacks up against them, but this Ornn is going to be a menace for Rogue to deal with, especially with only a LeBlanc and a Kalista on their side.
Yeah, and you can already see Larssen, you know, going with the Leandries here, trying to help out somewhat in some of the frontline killing there, because 369 has been all over this map, trying to take his advantage from topside and pick up the rest of JDG to get back into this game.
You think of a roaming top lane carry showing up all over the place. Generally, you think of Fiora, you think of a Jax, you think of one of these fighters, right? One of these main character types, but instead, nope. Just Ornn, having a good old walk around Summoner's Rift, showing up to cause some chaos. Comp still mid, Trymbi always right beside him. They know that they cannot leave this Kalista vulnerable, ever.
I mean, yeah, you guys saw it on your screen. Kanavi has like the highest gold on the side of JDG. He's almost completed his Blade of the Ruin King. He's in a prime position to be that carry threat once more. And you look at Malrang's itemization, only an Umbral Glaive. Last time, in the last game, he was playing this LeeSin. He was running the Turbo Chem tank. So he's just looking to be that front line. And JDG, they're not slowing down with their aggression.
JDG ready to summon the Herald here in mid lane to take out the tier 1 turret. You saw as Rogue was clearing through the jungle, the Wolf camp, they were all left at 1 HP for Trymbi to take them. I believe Rogue is trying to get him his mythic item online in time for this fight, and right there it is. There's the Moonstone.
And look at this sweep here from JDG. Kanavi goes into the jungle before the dragon arrives. 30 seconds beforehand, JDG sweep away all this vision that Rogue had behind the dragon and replace it with their own wards. Very quickly and nicely done for the setup here. And now JDG setting the stage for the fight over dragon number 3. They really want to deny this stacking from Rogue.
It's really been the name of this series. JDG and their objective setup combined with their team fighting has been unrivaled. It was what allowed them to get the better of Damwon in the group stage, and they're getting the better of Rogue now. But this is the best scene, the shape of Rogue we've seen so far in this series. Let's see if they can get a good fight against the LPL first seed.
It's got to be on Comp to do the damage. Yagao's going to take a little bit of hurt there from Larssen on the bottom side, but Trymbi getting caught out here a little bit. Comp saves him there with the ulti, but now that is one of those bailout mechanisms not available for the ensuing fight. 369, keep your eyes on him for the big engage. Comp's going after Hope. Comp thrown up into the air. Comp is down, and JDG make it a double.
369 and Yagao both hit him with those big ults. The Ornn ult and the stolen Maokai ult. Comp gets annihilated, and that means JDG will put a stop to the dragon stacking.
Comp had no flash. There was no ultimate to take Trymbi to safety. JDG are just team fighting gods. We talked about the threat of this Sylas when played into the Maokai, and they showed it once again.
Larssen goes over the wall. They don't want to give this away. They shut down the enemy jungler. Malrang looking to secure the Drake now, but he's going to be killed. No junglers, one Drake. JDG still get it.
Oh my goodness, my heart was beating there as every jungler going down. In the end, they pick it up anyways. for JDG. They still get their prize, and the hopes here, it just slips through the fingers of Rogue.
It's the map setup. The difference in terms of JDG's approach to how they control space is just so dramatic, and as well as allowing them to get the edge over Rogue every single time. And until they find a solution to this 369 problem, we're going to keep seeing fights like we see right now.
And you cannot get that close. Comp cannot go that far up into mid lane when you're facing these huge engage ults. It is Maokai stolen ultimates, Nami wave, and Ornn ultimate all over him. So as the AD carry up there very far in the mid lane, JDG see that, they immediately pull the trigger and blow him up.
JDG are so ruthless in the team fights, and they're going to continue to look for opportunities. Frustration really starting to mount on the shoulders of these Rogue players. Of course, this type of situation, Rogue, they have been able to find one reverse sweep against Fnatic earlier on in the year, but this team is not known for their reverse sweeps. With the pressure continuing to mount, and perhaps their world's journey ending, they're going to have to pull out all the stops to have a chance to go toe-to-toe with the LPL first seed.
The pressure continues to mount, and the clock continues to tick forward and forward and forward. Ornn continues to scale. JDG continues to scale. And remember how much we talked about this is all in on early for Rogue. They all in on the early comp. It goes better than any game, any look we've seen for them so far, but they're still down 1,500 gold just about 21 minutes in. Things are looking tricky here for the European team. 369, he sees them go right into the river, and they're ready to go. JDG firing off a tidal wave now from the Nami, but Rogue do a good job disengaging.
Yeah, great silence this time from Trymbi. Hits 369 so he can't reactivate the Ornn ultimate and find that pick for themselves. Regardless, though, it's still a split push victory for JDG. Yagao on the bottom side, that Sylas gets the tower and gets the wave all the way into secondary.
Rogue have 2 teleports, and they're not leveraging either of them. Yagao has all the time in the world to push this bottom lane all the way in. The top lane is also slowly pushing in their favor. Like, JDG are happy to have Rogue just sit here in mid lane and waste time. And the ultimate from 369, I'm not even sure they were trying to force any fight. They were just trying to look for summoner spells, maybe burn a couple ultimates. Overall, JDG had way more control over the map, and Rogue, they feel like desperation is starting to claw once again. They're kind of looking for that fight that they just can't find.
And it's such a problem because you cannot afford to have a bad call, to have a bad fight. I feel like one more big slip up and they're totally going to lose any sort of a handle, any sort of a chance on this game. So the next moment that happens, it's got to be a good one here for the side of Rogue. We still want to see some of that teamwork out of Larssen, out of Malrang to find these targets to blow somebody up, but it's just not being dialed in enough as Trymbi will be forced back out of his own jungle. Sonic wave from Malrang doesn't hit anybody. And this is where we start to see that JDG vision choke that we've seen twice already today in the previous games.
Exactly. They're setting the stage for the Baron bait. If they can make Rogue funnel into them through these smaller corridors, then guess what? You cannot even dodge Ornn ultimate, Maokai ultimates, Nami waves. There is no more space for you to go for. Rogue trying to make a power push back in to get a little bit of security for themselves.
And while Rogue look to fight for vision, keep your eyes on Yagao. Once again, every time Rogue is somewhere on the map, he's on the opposite side looking to funnel in a little bit more vision. He's now got 2 items fully completed. He also had a bit of an XP advantage over Larssen now because he spent so much time in the side lane. Look at how JDG have moved their vision from the top side to the bottom. All the setup for the dragon spawning in 45 seconds. JDG have such a good understanding of how to play the map and basically get Rogue to dance to them.
And Yagao is also playing this side quest to find Maokai, mark him, steal that ulti, now go in and see what you can do. Odoamne tanking up for a long time. Yagao's still here on the front. The bullets fly out, and Rogue tries to get back. Comp is immediately forced to save Trymbi yet again, so that spell will not be available when the fight breaks out for the Drake here in 20 seconds. JDG get themselves back. Kanavi still waiting on top of a ward, gonna clear that out now. E2 from Yagao, not going to find Malrang as Comp goes in looking for the damage, but Yagao goes over the wall. Comp is low, but Trymbi's able to save him. Larssen has no angle into the fight. Kanavi still waiting on the wings, waiting in that smoke, looking for an ambush opportunity as Rogue stay together. Larssen jumps in, he snaps right back out. Yagao stealing away the wish now to be able to bait Rogue in a little bit further. We'll see if Rogue can make it happen. Larssen goes for the damage! Larssen gets Hope, and Rogue have a 5v4. Malrang backing up, 369 jumps in, but now he's silenced. Rogue are on the attack, and 369 is on the retreat. They can't get Kanavi into the fight now either, and JDG have been found out. Larssen goes on a rampage, and Rogue go right for the Drake.
When Larssen needs to come up clutch, he goes and does it. Finding a kill onto Hope. The man was not expecting that electrocute pop to secure that kill, and Rogue now find themselves at soul point.
Larssen does it! 4-0 on the LeBlanc. What damage there, following up the second kill onto 369 and securing Rogue the Dragon Soul point.
Absolutely huge for Rogue and huge for Larssen. I said I needed to see more of those explosions, more of those tiniest of windows from the LeeSin, from the LeBlanc, and it's Larssen stepping up. It's Larssen being the hero here for Rogue at this third game. Let's see it again.
So let's keep your eyes on the positioning of Hope here. Dashes in, lands the QR combo into chains, electrocute proc, and we're back in the fight.
We're back in the fight, but Odoamne is already out of it. It's a pick on the top laner, a pick on the front line, and JDG are now 5v4 and moving onto the Baron. Kanavi is low HP. JDG has to be careful about this. 369 will lead the way. Trymbi tries to escape. The Soraka has to be saved again as Comp flashes out. They throw Trymbi right back in. They're peeling for Comp as Kanavi is 1v1 against again. How does he keep missing them? Malrang, you can't drop the ball here and now.
He's gonna pay for it. Hope is on the hunt.
Hope's looking for him, and he's gale forced. Malrang getting caught there, but now 369 is forward on his own. Larssen again, finding the moments that keep Rogue alive. Kanavi tries to go in. Odoamne's ready to follow. Viego will die, and Comp will get the kill, but now Comp's out of the picture, and JDG one more. Trymbi's on the run into the Cloud Drake zone for the speed, but Yagao and 369 are in hot pursuit. Yagao catches up, and Trymbi goes down.
So many small mistakes coming out from Rogue, and JDG is very quick to capitalize. If it wasn't for Larssen, these fights would be a lot more one-sided. The only good news for Rogue is that JDG can't convert this into anything else. Kanavi falling means that there is no Baron card on the table, but you can see how much of a threat JDG still are in the 5v5.
Larssen doing everything he can to drag them further in this series. 10 stacks on his Darksteel, 5 kills here. Death cap is done.
Hope he'll survive on that one. The chain from Larssen not connecting. Enemy AD carries at half HP, so Rogue are confident enough to push out the rest of this wave. Larssen is just fighting his heart out to stay alive here.
You can see the initial fight. Remember that it was Odoamne that got picked at the start, and Rogue is just trying to run away. Comp basically flashes in a straight line, but the ultimate is good to buy them space. Then we see Malrang. This is an opportunity for a kill, and he misses the Q again. The pressure getting to Malrang. He ends up losing his life off the back of a Gale Force from Hope. And then the fight continues.
Yeah, down through the mid lane, they find the knock-up onto the Soraka, but missing here, too close. So Larssen assassinates him. Then on the distortion back, they think they can actually chase him down, and that kind of baits Kanavi in to dying in the end as well. It's just that the further chase through here, with both carries up, Yagao and Hope running behind 369, they can chase forward into the jungle.
Yep, that's a facepalm. That's a rough one there from Malrang. You know how much you want to be able to secure those things, which should be guaranteed with the kick into the queue. But it's now a little bit over 1 minute before we get to what would be the soul if Rogue would get it.
But I will say that what a performance from Larssen 2 years ago when he debuted on the international stage. There was so much criticism around him, so much skepticism that he wouldn't be able to compete internationally. And the whole perception around him is that he's only a control mage player. But we might have to stop that point as Malrang He's setting up for a sneaky play here. He did see Yagao, but he might be too far away from his team.
Yeah, there's no way he can go on Yagao. That is a Sylas victory in that 1v1 10 times out of 10. So he's just gonna stay behind enemy lines, stay on the flank. But the problem is, those enemy lines are moving forward.
Okay, I was curious as to where Larssen was going. He went to get level 16. Malrang has done this before. He just lies in wait for that perfect opportunity. And with the dragon spawning in 25 seconds, Rogue is looking to contest it.
What he wants is the play onto hope. Malrang is hoping he can get behind him. The LeeSin with no flash. That is the target. If you have the patience to wait for it and make the game-saving play.
Larssen using the sweeper. As soon as he sees the outline of the ward in the brush, he immediately snaps back to his previous distortion point. Malrang still waiting here. He does not get figured out by the sweeper of JDG. Yagao and Larssen here in a 1v1. Larssen has to get away, but that's the difference maker for Rogue. That's the guy they need in the big fights. And now Comp and Trymbi and Odoamne got to be a little bit more careful. Odo already using the flash, already using the Maokai ulti, but Yagao also used the stolen one.
They still don't know where Malrang is.
Still in the jungle.
He's taking the blue buff! That was the mission all along! And now Kanavi sees, wait a second, what happened to my blue buff? Haha! Now you see him, now you don't!
Malrang finally exfiltrates the hot zone, but JDG will earn themselves control over the river, control over the Drake, and they will stop the soul stack of Rogue. 30 minutes into the game, 2,000 gold is all that separates the two teams.
Oh my word. It's incredibly tense, but it feels as though JDG is very quickly reclaiming control over the map. They have the gold lead, a small one, but they have it. The levels are matching with their opposition. The items are really starting to come through. Yagao is looking for a play. He knows that Larssen doesn't have flash, whereas he does have that advantage. And hitting that level 16 himself, he is feeling confident. JDG is in a position in the game where they know they can rely on their incredible team fighting talents.
Yeah, JDG reclaiming the map, but not that blue buff, though.
Not that blue buff, that is quite right.
Not that part.
Malrang has had enough buffs stolen from him in one series that he will get something back.
All right, Rogue digging in, trying to defend. There's no Drake to play for 4 minutes, but the Baron's alive on the map. And JDG move into the blue side jungle of Rogue to control this vision, control this area. They've swept out everything. They've placed wards of their own. And 369, he's just a big old worm on a hook. He's trying to bait him into maybe going in after him, but they'll know better. Teleport coming in now for the side of JDG, so they can all group up mid and be ready to go. Calling flies out. Horn ulti goes. Comp with the save into the stasis, into the flash to get away. The wish goes out. Rogue is in trouble. The damage continues, and Kanavi gets the kill on Comp. Trymbi wants to try to save Odoamne, but he cannot do it. A double kill back over to Kanavi, and JDG have found 3.
You just cannot out-team fight JDG. If they are alive, they will find a way to outplay you, and they do it once again. The base is beginning to fall, and JDG is looking to make it to the semifinals.
JDG on the victory march. It is Larssen and Malrang against them all. Yagao goes in for Larssen. He won't be able to find the kill, but he knocks him low enough that he can't defend. Malrang gets picked up. Kanavi will not die. Nexus turrets fall, and the #1 seed of the LPL will eliminate the #1 seed of the LEC, and JDG will clean sweep Rogue out of Worlds.
JDG continue to leverage on what has made them so strong over the last few months. Their ability to team fight seems uncontested, and Rogue did not stand a chance.
And even further than that, the early jungle plans coming out every game here from Kanavi, playing off of 369's dominance and off of this bottom lane's dominance in the first 2 games, really, really well coordinated at every stage of the game.
And I gotta say, the top gap, the jungle gap, were very evident in this series. 369 solo killing Odoamne in the tank versus tank matchup in the top lane here in this one. So many plays, so many good decisions coming out from Kanavi, and Malrang not able to keep up when things got intense. It was JDG proving that they were the superior team. The frustration on Rogue, you know they wanted to have a good showing here against JDG. They fought so hard in that third game. It looked so much better than the first two. Comp finding the advantages in bottom. Larssen finding the picks in the mid game to keep them alive, but it wasn't enough.
It really was a statement game for Larssen. I've never seen him play like that. He was so aggressive, he was so confident in his own abilities, and while they do end up falling short today, there's a lot for these players to be proud of. Rogue, they're a roster that has consistently been underrated. The fact that they're able to win the LEC title was something that no one really believed, and as Europe's first seed, they couldn't overcome the LPL's first seed, but they still had a very strong show.
Rogue will take their final bow of the World's 2022 stage. This will be as far as they go. But for JDG, for the LPL, it was a big win, and they look scary for whoever faces them next.
Let me congratulate JDG on making the semi-finals for the first time for this organization. Huge accomplishment for them. And the sign right there, he was right. It's 999, absolute dominance from this guy. How can he be so good on so many different types of champions, so versatile, and yet still so dominant?
Incredibly talented player. We only saw strong performances throughout this series, and I think that, you know, it was something when we were speaking to Azir, he was talking about how like this side of the bracket feels like it's just stacked with talented top laners. And again, JDG feels like one of the favorites to win the whole thing. They continue to demonstrate why they are considered such a strong team. And while I was skeptical about some of their early game performances, to me, Kanavi, as you highlighted, really did step up today and was crucial to the success of this roster's success.
As you can see on the damage charts, as expected, Ornn, number one on the side of JDG. He absolutely earned it, demolishing the matchup himself, then also trying to roam around the map and help out every other lane to get their game plan right back and focused.
The only person to top the Ornn's damage was Larssen on the LeBlanc, trying to find all those insta-kills, trying to make it happen. But JDG's team fighting, Vedius, you kept praising it, and for good reason. They were always ready to fight, they're always ready to skill check you, and their skills were just superior.
Yeah, they certainly were. I think that while we did see some highlights in the bot side of the map, we got to see what Comp was capable of. We got to see what Larssen was capable of. It just wasn't enough in the face of the LPL first seed.
Well, if you guys cannot make it to the San Francisco finals, you can still watch on the big screen with friends and family at one of the 600 theaters and counting near you. Use the QR code below, I got it right this time, to purchase your tickets. And now, with the series concluded, we are joining Shox and JDG's Hope on stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much. Under a very loud applause for what was a fantastic matchup as well coming out of JDG. So Hope, first question, a clean 3-0 in your quarterfinal. Why was it that you were just so much stronger than Rogue today?
那首先恭喜你们获得本场比赛的胜利，而且是非常干净利落的3-0。所以在今天的对局当中，为什么你们可以面对肉哥展现出如此强的统治力呢？
就是我们训练赛准备的比较充分吧，然后大家今天状态比较好。
So we really practice a lot in the scrims, and we've made the fully preparations. And also for today's, I think we are on a very high note.
We saw the Lucian Nami priority out of Rogue, and then you decided to take it for yourself in the last game. Why did you decide that it was your turn?
那也想问一下一个下路的对局，其实前2局肉哥也是有拿出一个卢锡安娜美的下路组合，在最后你们也是选下了这样的一个下路的搭档，所以说你为什么会在第3局来选下这一对组合呢？
因为就是卢锡安娜美这个英雄，只要前面不是很劣势的话，中期站在中路就会比较有用嘛，然后就是还是挺有优先级的一个项目。
I feel like for Lucian Nami this falling, if they didn't in a disadvantage from the early game, then we just can put them in the mid lane in the mid game, so they can be quite useful and play a very huge role. I believe we would like to put Lucian Nami on very good priority.
Okay, fantastic. Of course, it was tricky today, the fact that you couldn't play with your mid laner Yagao, but I did notice that you were celebrating his birthday yesterday very carefully, of course. Can you tell me about trying to get Yagao's spirits up before the quarterfinal today?
那其实今天也是比较遗憾，高子哥没有和你们一起在赛场上，就是在现场来征战嘛。但是呢，像昨天你们也是一起有为牙膏选手的生日，然后一起来小小的稍微远隔屏幕，然后庆祝了一下。所以说今天是怎么样带着他的这样的一份精神，然后来打比赛的？
就是3比0吧，做给他作为他生日礼物吧。
So this 3-0 will be the birthday gift for Yagao.
When it comes to your next opponents, you could be going up against RNG or T1. Which team would have your preference and why?
在接下来半决赛当中，你们也是有可能会面对到 RNG 或者是 T1 嘛，所以说 Hope 想要遇到谁？为什么？
想遇到 RNG 吧，想和他们携手晋级，因为大家都是 LPL 队伍。
I would like to face against RNG, and we would like to just go further together because we are all from LPL.
Lovely. Final question, Hope. In terms of your personal story, you, of course, after EDG, there were maybe question marks about what the rest of your career would look like. You are doing fantastic so far, but are you satisfied? And what would you like to show at this World Championship?
那其实，在 EDG 之后，可能很多人会对 Hope 选手的职业生涯有一个小小的问号。但是呢，你在这个舞台上毫无疑问展现出了一个绝佳的竞技力，所以说也想问一下，你对自己目前的一个竞技力还满意吗？想要在这个舞台上展现出怎样的一个面貌？
说实话不太满意吧，就还有很多没做好的地方，就是希望后面能再加强。
To be honest, I'm not that satisfied with my performance currently. There's so many parts that I still need to make some improvements on.
Okay, well, we will follow your journey. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Hope and Wendy. Thank you very much. And all the LPL fans who are very happy for JDG, as we can hear. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's World's Cooldown.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Behind 21 epic days of epicness. Behind 1 billion hours of dropped jaws. Behind every match, every broadcast, every moment at League of Legends World Championship 2022 is the network capable of making it all happen. The Cisco Network, aka The Realm. Cisco, powering the future of esports.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Worlds 2022. JDG made it a quick day for all of us, completing the sweep in 3-0 fashion. What a performance they put on. While there was quite a bit of fight out of Rogue in this third and final game, it just felt like at almost no point in this series did JDG get put in an ultra uncomfortable position.
They're just a cut above. They're built different. LPL is scary every single international event, and I feel like the gap is not closing anymore. It's actually widening. I feel like, you know, if you look at the West or Europe over the last few years, semifinals, finals back-to-back, even last year, quarterfinals with the Mad Lions, who then got 3-0'd by Damwon, I believe it was. So now it's Rogue coming into the quarterfinals, getting 3-0'd as well. So it's definitely been a tough last few years for the West.
I think the big thing about this game, though, is that they did get a foot in the door, right? Like, they did.
Very true.
We did see that early game that we kind of had wanted to see with this 2v2 kill that's going to come out for Comp and Trymbi. And this is kind of what I wanted to see from Rogue in terms of, okay, how are they going to be able to overcome JDG, or at least get into the point where maybe they won't be able to team fight their way back. I said it started with Malrang, but this double kill obviously set them ahead as well.
And it hasn't been unusual at Worlds to actually see the bot lane for JDG go behind, but it's the top side of the map that is always bringing JDG back into it. Kanavi looking good on this. Viego, 369 having an absolutely incredible performance, and even Yagao as well looking phenomenal on this this Sylas. It just felt like even though the bot lane fell behind, you still had this triple threat that was moving around and picking people off on Rogue.
Yeah, for me, like, absolutely. It's the top side, and in particular, I do want to call out 369 coming out right here with that knockup. He is someone that previously, I think, people were super critical of not being able to play tanks as well, maybe only being a carry player, not positioning in lane and getting caught out because he'd shove so far forward and play very, very aggressively. And in these team fights, he was an absolute monster. So, like, I can't stress enough how cool it's been to watch him evolve into this incredibly well-rounded player for JDG.
And we haven't even seen his sign yet.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just team fights. It was solo kills in the lane as well. This guy was just popping off from the top side. Bot lane was losing. The top side manages to carry through. I mean, you even had a game state where Rogue's carries were sitting at 3-4 items, looked really strong. They never gave Larssen a flank. They never really thought about giving Malrang a flank either. Every single time he was sitting in that bush for 30 seconds, upwards of a minute. Kanavi knew something was up.
Kanavi, yeah. I'm a big fan of, no, I mean, and we will get to 369 and his impact, particularly in this third game, in just a moment. Before we did that, I do want to give a nod to one of the Rogue players in Larssen, who definitely showed quite a bit of fight in this third game. He also made every second count, thanks to reliable Cisco network, as we know. And in this fight, he makes every second count on the LeBlanc, putting on a heroic performance to find a snipe early on onto the Lucian and to carry it through for a second kill in this teamfight skirmish mid-game.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where you think back to Perks against RGE, where he manages to one-shot Uzi, you know, and maybe this was like a sign of light, a sign of life for Rogue, where maybe they can find some objective, go towards Baron, but I think it netted them 2 kills overall as 369 dies as well to give Larssen the double, but yeah, turn it into a Drake, but not a big enough lead to push JDG back.
This was, as an LPL guy, where I got nervous. When I saw that pick going across, and the fact JDG weren't really backing down, they still wanted to go for the fight. I was like, okay, this is where it turns. This is where we push ourselves to a game 4, and Larssen putting on heroics there to try and get that to happen. But it's just unfortunate that when you have an Ornn that's as big as 369 is, that makes it very, very difficult then for you to actually carry as a LeBlanc.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like, it's great to see you get that kill, and again, as you mentioned, probably the biggest sign of hope in that game. But when you consider all the work that 369 had done up to that point, yes, he falls down in that skirmish, but his lead was just monstrous K-Draw. I mean, he gets our 1+ OP player of the game for his performance in this one, because as you mentioned, it's an Ornn versus Maokai matchup, and the Ornn is solo killing his opponent and building a 30+ CS lead in the first 8 minutes of the game.
It's the entirety of the series. The 369's been so consistent. He had a little bit of faults on Gwen in the game 2, a little bit early on, getting ganked and dying, but he was never really falling behind, and yeah, gets a solo kill top, gets really far ahead on Ornn, even gets a Herald up in his lane, and he's one of those players where I think we can set him apart against most top laners and say he is so versatile. 999.
There
he can play. He can play carries. He can last pick. He can blind pick tanks. He can do absolutely anything, and he'll always roll a 9.
Well, okay, and this is something we haven't even really gotten into just yet when it comes to this series, is different looks in each game, draft-wise, right? And so that's what really concerns me for anybody who has to go up against JDG from this point forward, is you've seen many different looks. You've seen everything from the farming graves for Kanavi to something that's a little bit more gank-oriented, or even the Viego playing for late. You've got the Taliyah look. You've got the carry tops that we know are in the back pocket of 369, while he's still happy to play the Gragas and the Ornn that he was put on this time around. It's just, I don't understand now how do you take enough things away from JDG to get a winning position.
And that's why it feels so hard playing against JDG, because they are not only like a triple threat, they're a quad threat, right? Because you can add Kanavi into the mix. And even when 369 is on Ornn, apparently he's a threat because he did the most damage on JDG as well. So I think this is where this is where it becomes so difficult. It feels like even though Hope and Missing at times have fumbled, there's still the top half of the map is so strong to bring it back. Even if you try to focus 369, well then we saw in game 2 where Kanavi just plays down towards bot side, Hope pops off, and then you're still stuck in the mud. And so it just feels like it's so difficult to actually figure out how to analyze, draft, play against these guys when there's just so many different ways to access the map.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the best example of that is game 2 versus game 3, and looking at Rogue's draft, how similar it was both times. But instead of last picking a Gwen, they just last pick an Ornn, right? So it changes the versatility of the comp. You can then play weak side top, play if you're a strong side bot. Bot even loses. The Ornn is the one who's getting all the resources, right? But even in a game state where you pick a carry there, you can play for top, you can play for bot. You have a plethora of options. Yagao can play mages, he can play roaming champs like the Taliyah, he can go to 4-5, giving over Azir first picks, giving over Orianna Victor bans, and he's absolutely fine. So it's a very hard team to draft up against, whereas the West, whereas Rogue, Fnatic, G2, all of these European teams came into the tournament with tank top, early game jungler, and then just hyper carries.
And I think that's why we'll continue to see Kanavi playing for these carry junglers, right? Because even then when Hope Missing falls behind, even if they've got 369 at tank and top side, they just feed Kanavi, right? Even if Kanavi's continuously going top side, if you think back to EG game 1 of the tournament, that's where they actually set Kanavi up to be that big carry on the Viego again, and he was the one that actually carried that game through. So I think we'll continue to see that as we go on.
That's where Yagao, as I'm holding the
Toothpaste Gaming.
That's where Yagao, I think, has been really important. And another player that I want to highlight as someone who not just played well in the series, but has evolved a lot as a player. It used to be that people would be really critical of him, myself included, for only being able to play like a certain amount of champions. And the fact that they can now play mid-jungle both ways, right? Like typically when we see teams, we either see jungle playing for mid, or mid playing for jungle, right? So, but they can do that either way. They can set Yagao up to be the carry, or they can set Kanavi up to be the carry, or they can have both of them affecting the side lanes. And it's such, I think, a really underrated almost facet of why JDG has been so successful.
I definitely agree. And just to play devil's advocate, just to find some kind of flaw in this almost perfect team that we've been praising so well. Moving forwards in the tournament, I think the one thing they have to be careful of is bot lane. Lane phase has been a little bit shaky this tournament, right? Up against Rogue's bot lane here, struggling. Even that first game you were just talking about against EG, where they died 2v2 in that game as well. I think Hope and Missing have been great in team fights. Hope's been very reliable when he's ahead. We've seen that against Damwon. But if they have any weakness whatsoever, any chink in the armor, I think it's going to be bot lane phase.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just glancing over because we actually have the bracket over there. So knowing they can't run into Gen.G until the finals, that's an example of a bot lane that I would be very curious to see how it shakes out. Exactly, something like that. Of course, their opportunities are going to be either T1 or Royal Never Give Up next, and that's where I am curious. Do you think that those are the kinds of teams or bot lanes that could kind of blow open maybe that hole in JDG?
I don't think it's just about a bot lane thing. I think it's about a team that can take those early leads and actually transition them into good team fighting as well. Because what we've seen is JDG heavily fall behind in the early stages and then rely on just really good team fighting to bring it back around Dragons. So I think when you're playing against a team like RGE that can match that team fighting, a team like T1 that can take those advantages and actually use them as well, that's where I actually do start to get nervous for JDG. I think that can definitely be something that could throw a wrench into the works.
In particular, you need a team that's also able to counter a lot of the stuff that JDG does for damage mitigation, right? So like if they are losing on one side of the map, it's not necessarily that they are getting advantages elsewhere in lane, but where it becomes really apparent to me is that even when their opponents will have a positive play, they are always very thoughtfully thinking about where they can go next, right? Like the Taliyah taking mid-tier 2 when Rogue are actually able to get the better of them in a team fight topside, stuff like that, where I think you even saw that when they did have these really shaky early games against other teams in their group is that they were able to do very thoughtful things to make sure that their players were staying in the game until they could get to those team fights.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to see, especially like if you look at the difference in their vision control when they are actually falling behind, because especially if they kind of get to a mid game where they're very much struggling, they'll very quickly put on mass into a top side. They'll like overload that side of the map. They get a ton of vision down, and you'll just see Kanavi continuously just camp out these brushes over and over again, just playing off that little bit of advantage, and then seeing if he can pick people off from it. And that's oftentimes how JDG get back into a game.
All right, good looks for JDG today, and as they move forward, unfortunately, Rogue has been eliminated. But Shox is grabbing a few final words from Larssen and Odo in our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Larssen and Odo after the last page of Rogue has been written at this World Championship. Yeah, Larssen, can I get your first reactions on the match today to start us off, maybe?
I felt like we could definitely beat them if we were like a bit better. I felt like all games were very winnable, but we're just lacking like fundamentals today. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely felt that we could beat them, but obviously we got fucked 3-0. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like it was unwinnable. That's the sad part, because I felt like if we played a little bit better, we could beat them. Yeah, it sucks to have the year ending here. Because we make it this far, you don't want the journey to stop. You just want to keep going. But yeah, our journey ends here.
You always want to show more, right, Odo? Is that in line with how you experience the series?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I felt like all 3 games were like lost in like, you know, small fundamental mistakes. I mean, first game, I think our third Drake setup was bad. Game 2, we didn't cover the dive both in time, and game 3, I kind of messed up myself, you know. And I don't know, it's just like their fundamentals are just really on point, you know. And I don't know, I think we played good. I think we played fine. It's just, I mean, you're just not as good as them, you know. It's just that's the harsh reality, yeah.
Yeah, this is a very harsh reality. Larssen, you said super sad for it to end here. And if you look at the perspective of the year, though, it's been really fantastic for Rogue. And I think me as a fan of you guys for so long, it's been great to see the championship, the run here at Worlds, and the fantastic games that you did have. How do you look back, if you can, in this moment, of course, to kind of all that you've been able to achieve this year?
Yeah, we had a completely insane year. When we started the year, there was a lot of people who didn't think we would make playoffs in LEC. And then we ended up going to final, then winning a final, and going to quarterfinals in Worlds. But that's the sad part, because I felt like we had such a special team this year, like a very special team. So I felt like we could go even further. Yeah.
Well, do you feel the same way, that there was something special in the air in the team, and that's why the year was as good as it was?
Yeah, I think it's the first time, you know, when I go on stage with a team and it feels like, you know, no matter who you play against, you feel like undefeatable, you know. And also the first time where, you know, I feel like or like my team compared to scrims were just like insane on stage, you know. And I never had this, and I don't know, it's just like merit to all of my teammates, you know. I feel like everyone just stepped up massively throughout the whole year to, you know, play our best, especially because we were like, you know, doubted, and everyone was like hungry to prove something. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't be any more proud of, you know, my teammates for this year. I feel like they created something special for me, and for like us as a group, we are very special to each other, I think. And yeah, I mean, it was an incredible year, you know. It just sucks to lose like this 6 games in a row, and you know, it's hard to look back at this year and be proud, you know, when it ends like this. So
I understand that, but just know that we are very proud of you guys and everything you showed us this year, and very hopeful towards the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nothing but respect for both Odo and Larssen, as well as the rest of Rogue. 1, for taking the interview. 2, for the fight that they put up here at the World Championship. And while moments like these World Championships are built on heartbreak every step of the way until one team and only one team gets to celebrate and hoist that trophy at the end, I understand that it stings tremendously for that squad right now. What I hope that they can reflect on, though, as a team, is that they did give the West hope that they did put up an incredible performance throughout this tournament. Surprised so many based on the expectation, the history that was just outlined by both Shocks and the guys themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's growth for the organization internationally, especially seeing as they didn't get out of groups last year. And if you consider teams like G2, they started off very shaky as well. There was years where they never actually got out of groups. They had high highs of things like the MSI finals, but they also had low lows of also getting knocked out of groups. So it's a case of growth and building upon these foundations. You know, you think of Larssen now, who's gone to Worlds again. He's got a lot of experience. He showed a fantastic game as well. Comp had a highlight year, was benched last year, right? So there's a lot of positives in the moment.
You're not thinking about any of those things at the moment.
Yeah, you can see Odoamne is on the brink of tears there, right? You have to feel for them. Everyone will go through that at a World Championship, especially in the knockout stage.
Hopefully, with some space, some time, they'll be able to reflect on this showing a little bit more fondly. But as their aspirations, unfortunately, must be set aside for the World Championship in this year, we look forward to 7 teams still in the running for that trophy. It's JDG who will be our first semi-finalist, and they await the winner of T1 versus Royal Never Give Up. That series will take place tomorrow. A banger. Guaranteed. But then the bottom side of the bracket, which we'll see this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Gen G versus Damwon Kia, a regional matchup before DRX and Edward Gaming close out our stay here in New York City.
Oh, all bangers. T1 RNG is a classic.
Like, it might be heresy to say this, but I'm so looking forward to the LCK. But like, that looks like a finals, like a mini finals to start things off. I'm so hyped for that.
I mean, again, the remaining 7 teams, I think, were the ones that everyone targeted, you know, coming out of the group stage and just going like, any of them. Again, any of them could make the run to the finals, and it would be reasonable. Yes, there are favorites within those 7, but I wouldn't bat an eye at any of the remaining teams ultimately winning the Summoners Cup.
And the funniest thing is the 2 teams that are probably bottom of that list is DRX, who's like on an insane surge, and EDG.
The defending world champions!
But they're actually below teams like T1 RNG and Gen G, right?
If you saw EDG sometimes this year, I'm telling you.
Right, so can I press you?
Understand.
Can I press y'all on that? Like, is it just a holdover from the domestic showing? Like, have they not assuaged whatever concerns you might have had with what they've put up at the tournament so far? Emily, I'll go to you first, then Dagdo, please follow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I also think it's like these 2 teams, specifically when we're talking about DRX and EDG, they are both coming off of just having some shaky domestic performances. So anyone's watched them domestically is obviously going to have that in mind and be thinking like, okay, you know, is Zeka going to be allowed to get his champions?
Akali.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sylas.
And Sylas.
And Sylas,
Yeah,
yes.
Sylas too.
You're right.
But like, and with EDG, and not to get too far into the matchup thing, but the most interesting thing to me is the bot lane, right? Because DRX in particular have shown really creative looks in terms of how they want to deal with pushing bot lanes. And then on the other side, you have Mako, who wants to slam down that tier 1 turret as fast as possible.
Baby,
so
I like it. Whet the appetite.
Great.
That's Sunday.
Yeah.
That's a Sunday series. So you got some time to wait. Go ahead, Dagdo.
Yeah, I think the other one for me is just like, when you look at EDGs in particular, they're coming off domestically not looking so strong, but even the first 2 games here at Worlds weren't particularly strong either.
Right.
So I think that's where I want to see more consistency from this team before I'm able to fully rally behind them. But definitely I think Scout's having a good time. I think Viper and Mako are having a great time. The question mark for me is just how that top lane continues to perform. If they're good, they could win it a second time.
Fair enough. I also think people, of course, and reasonably knock them for the 2nd place group finish versus the 1st place group finish. And I think it was in the middle of week 2, we kind of looked at some statistics of future champions or champions of that year and where they had finished in groups. And the majority of eventual world champions are first at the end of their group stage. A few
last
second
year,
but
and
EDG,
one of them,
second to T1,
exactly,
second to T1 again. So
there
who
it
knows?
is. One of them is EDG. So we'll see if they can repeat here on the world stage, but we'll have to wait a few days to see them in action. Tomorrow we get T1 versus RNG. It was an early night for us here in New York City. Make sure you get your rest because we've got 3 more days of action coming your way. For now, that's going to do it for us. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow for more Worlds. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.
Players and fans around the globe, let's hear it one more time as we kick off the knockout stage. Row versus JDG.
Trymbi has managed to sneak into the brush.
Oh, Trymbi's ready to go with the ulti coming out, and once again, there's no hope for hope.
I'm dead, but I think you can go or not. Guys, Talia is coming for you. I think we're trolling.
No, we're giga trolling.
Okay, look on a...
Just
okay.
run if you can.
No, try to help.
Go play shot, play shot.
Take down, we're fine. It's okay.
Comp coming in with the calling over onto the side, but it ain't gonna do a whole lot. Oh, is into the pit, and he steals the Drake, but at what cost? Odoamne dies, Malrang dies. It's bullets for dinner.
It was really good. Everyone did so good with comps and everything. It was really clean. Yep, I think we can win.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. For sure.
Yeah, wow.
She believes after one.
Malrang saying that?
Nice. HP. Malrang's coming down to try to stop this, but Trymbi's gonna be jumped on first. 100 HP remaining. He's killed. They're both killed. Gwen is immune. Looking to walk out, but she gets caught at the very edge of her own zone. 369. He's down. And Odoamne trying to retreat now as they'll find Kanavi as well. JDG is looking to end game 2. They go straight on in. They'll claim Malrang, and Larssen tries to escape underneath the turret. It won't matter. Nexus falls. Hold on now. Comp's at 100 HP. But Comp got first blood 2v2. Trymbi lands a slow, and Hell has none. A double kill to the rogue AD carry. Eyes on him for the big engage. Comp's going after Hope. Comp thrown up into the air. Comp is down, and JDG making a double. We'll see if Rogue can make it happen. Larssen goes for the damage. Larssen gets Hope. Flies out. Ornn ulti goes. Comp with the save into the stasis, into the flash to get away. The wish goes out. Rogue is in trouble. The damage continues, and Kanavi gets the kill on Comp. Trymbi wants to try to save Odoamne, but he cannot do it. A double kill back over to Kanavi, but he knocks him low enough that he can't defend. Malrang gets picked up. Kanavi will not die. Nexus turrets fall, and the #1 seed of the LPL will eliminate the #1 seed of the LEC, and JDG will clean sweep Rogue out of Worlds.